Cookies.
That's right. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Fresh Cookies. I'm your host, Nery Rodriguez. As always, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it's at Fresh Cookies Show. On Twitter, it's at Fresh Cookies Pod. And some exciting news, we're now on Facebook. Yes, we're official. We have a Facebook page. And you should also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Gotta get us on TikTok. We're coming for it. Coming for that TikTok. I don't know how it works, but we gonna figure it out. But we got a wild weather episode for you today. Gonna go through some interesting weather games in the NFL and other sports. But before we get into that, I wouldn't say chaotic, but eventful week in the NFL for a whole bunch of different reasons. Also, the NBA announcing that they're gonna resume in July. That's awesome. But yeah, we're gonna have to tackle the elephant in the room, so to speak. If you were living under a rock, that's okay. I'm not judging you for your life choices. But in case you didn't hear the whole fallout with Saints quarterback Drew Brees, he said some things about his stance on standing for the national anthem. At first, I didn't, I'm like, that's his opinion. But when I kind of stepped back and kind of realized what everybody else was saying, it really wasn't the best time for him to kind of address that. And in the manner that it kind of happened, it was a bit off topic. And then it was on what, Yahoo Sports Financial, something like that. But just completely out of left field. It was disappointing a bit. I don't know dude personally, but I've always liked Drew Brees because, you know, Walter Payton Man of the Year, all the money he just donated to the city of New Orleans and all the people that were kind of affected by the COVID-19 virus. So for him this for him to get backlash was a little tough because it's like I still wanted to ride with him, but I also saw the other side of the coin, why people were kind of ticked off and upset. And by all means, I mean, time and place, I think this is this is, I don't want to use the word chaotic, but it's not normal. Definitely, it's not normal by any means, but like just the situation that the U.S. is in right now. I don't want to say it's divided because I've seen a lot of people coming together, but I feel like we just need all the positivity we can get right now. And Drew Brees, you couldn't have picked a worse time to give your opinion on something so topical at the moment. But he apologized. Whether you accept his apology or not, that's on you. He's not my quarterback. I enjoy watching him play. I hope he has a successful year. With that being said, he did need to be reprimanded. Not, I don't want to use the word reprimanded, but I guess just like enlightened a bit. But I guess my whole issue with the whole situation was basically not how NFL players handled it, because people are going to speak their minds, and LeBron James spoke his mind too. I think that was kind of the the jumping on point, if you will. This kick Drew Brees' back in party. But the way his Saints teammates handled it, specifically Michael Thomas and Malcolm Jenkins, who, shout out to Malcolm Jenkins, Jersey native, does an incredible job with the youth, just educating them on law enforcement and civil rights and things of that nature. I did a high school football game that was being continued at the Eagles field. This was a couple months ago. There was a tragic shooting during a playoff football game, and the Philadelphia Eagles stepped up and hosted the end of this playoff football game, and all the Eagles players were there and shook hands and spent time with the kids. So shout out to Malcolm Jenkins, not putting dude down at all. I just think the way he addressed Drew Brees probably could have came behind closed doors, especially since he's joining the team this year. I just think it was not it just wasn't it's just not a good first impression. And it's not like he needs validation from Drew Brees, but it's just when you're just going to a new team, and even if you do have friends on that team, it's like you're already starting out on the bad foot, if that makes any sense. Address dude, text him, get his number from somebody. I like that's the thing. How could you have so much hate for this man? You just signed on. It's not like he has all these horror stories. I mean, I don't know how he is behind the scenes, but from but listen to me, but from what you hear, and I guess the overall vibe from his fellow teammates and just NFL players is that he's a liked guy in the locker room and a leader. I mean, you see those pregame speeches he be giving, and it's crazy. How could you not be fired up? You run through a brick wall for that guy. But now you're in the situation where this is your leader, but now other people are kind of not shunning him, but they're disciplining him, so to speak. So you wonder how that's going to play out going into training camp. I just think it could have been handled differently, a lot better. Michael Thomas is insane. One of the top receivers in the league, top 5, definitely. And Malcolm Jenkins, a vet on defense. They got Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill. Let's not forget about the great Taysom Hill, and now Jameis Winston. Go Knowles. Let's see if he can kind of, I guess, you want him to pick up some things from Drew Brees. We don't know about everything apparently. But they got Jameis too, so shout out Jameis Winston. Hopefully he turns over a new leaf and stops doing all his crazy shit. But so far, I think the last couple of years he's kind of kept his nose clean, and last year, very good year for him. It's just you got the GOAT going to Tampa Bay now, so don't feel too bad about losing your job, kid. What I'm trying to say is the Saints on paper should be all right, but now this little bit of turmoil going into the season, it could either make them stronger or ultimately it's going to make them crumble within. And who knows? This could be Drew Brees' last year. That's not how we want to remember him. I don't want to remember a racist Drew Brees. This sounds like something Philip Rivers would do. Nah, I'm talking shit. Philip Rivers, he's got enough problems as it is. This is like the last thing he would need right now. I firmly believe Philip Rivers will take that Colts job though, which makes me think that the Patriots probably should either trade or maybe should have held on to Jacoby Brissett, but who knows? It's Philip Rivers also. I don't want to count dude out, but he has a history of things not going his way, so don't be surprised. Anyway, yeah, so this whole Drew Brees situation, it's unfortunate just for the whole Saints organization. I mean, the Saints, they're one of those teams in the NFL that it's almost hard to root against them unless obviously you're an NFC South fan. You have a name in the NFC South hat, so to speak. But they're one of those teams that are, in my opinion, hard to hate, just with the whole Hurricane Katrina thing, the comeback story that the Falcons versus Saints Monday Night Football, the Superdome reopening, the block punt, insane, and then them beating Peyton Manning for the Super Bowl. What more could you want? And Drew Brees, like I said, he's such a big part of that, and just kind of the culture change. The Saints being looked at as a top franchise in the NFL for a bit there, and still are. Definitely still a destination. And away from football, we briefly touched upon it. Drew, like we said a couple months ago, Drew Brees donating I think $5 million, over $5 million, for people out of work because of COVID-19, or just organizations helping people in less fortunate areas dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. You hate to see it to somebody who actually gives back, when oftentimes we give NFL players way too much slack for things they're blatantly wrong for. I don't want to take shots, no pun intended, at Kareem Hunt or Tyreek Hill. There's plenty of Patriots players that have had their fair share run-ins with the law. Not saying any names. Aaron Hernandez, R.I.P. But let's cut Drew Brees a little slack. He's going to get educated, and hopefully we'll look at this as a learning experience and nothing crazy comes out, like he called somebody a name in a Halo game that he can't take back, and now we're burning his Hall of Fame ballot. And if anybody's going to get torched in all this, it needs to be Bills rookie quarterback Jake Fromm, which normally I would say shout out Jake Fromm from one of my favorite Netflix programs, QB1 Under the Lights. But he's in the doghouse right now, so gonna need you to do better next time. But I will say shout out QB1 Under the Lights. I'm looking forward to seeing Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma this year. I also need QB1 Under the Lights to come out with a new season, and that goes for Last Chance U as well. I'm not playing around. When are the new seasons coming? And also another thing in this whole Drew Brees fallout, but I don't want to call it a fallout, because I guess it did lead towards something better, because the NFL kind of spoke up and was like, yeah, we've been ignoring racism. And that's just a whole different animal in itself. You're like, come on, NFL. It's so tough. It's almost like we know. But then again, if you listen to anything that's going on right now, not doing anything is just as bad as saying something hurtful or hateful. So shout out to the NFL for hopefully turning over a new leaf and working towards a new future, so to speak. I don't want to sound mad soft, but you want to see everybody happy, damn it. Happy players, happy fans. It's what football's all about. When they meet up and align, coexist, whatever you want to call it, it's beautiful. That's what we need. Yeah, Jake Fromm in some hot water. And now this brings up we're going to have to talk about Colin Kaepernick now. Does he get another shot? Personally, I don't think he should. I mean, he hasn't played since 2016, 2017, whatever you want to call it. I just think he's been away from the game for a bit too long. He got that tryout last year and he kind of blew that off, whatever you want to call it, just wasn't totally on board. And I think you see, if you watch Hard Knocks, or even if you just people that have tried out for practice squads and haven't made it, things of that nature. It's a privilege to play in the NFL, any professional sport, but in the NFL, it really is like an honor. Like we joke that this guy's trash and this guy, he's not that, he's overrated, this and that. It's definitely like one of the toughest sports to go professional in. I know you have a large roster, 53 men. But still, it's prestigious to play in the NFL. And I think even last year, even if you didn't necessarily get the red carpet that you wanted, along with your invite, I don't know what it was, but for them to offer you like a private workout with multiple teams already coming to see you, I mean, I don't want to say more, like what more could you want? But that's a rough predicament to put anybody in, because it's like they did, even if it wasn't maybe the grandest gesture to you, they still like extended the olive branch in a way to where it's like, all right, well, you say we're not going to give you a job, we'll try out. He picked the location, like he could pick the players, basically anything. But then it makes me think, like, were you not ready? Were you not up to par? And you kind of just did this to not make yourself look bad? Or were you genuinely that hurt that the NFL has to literally invite you in to a practice facility and have you work out there again, basically on your own terms against the NFL? What kind of precedent is that setting to other players around the league? You know, how many players after not being in free agency for over 3 years get a shot like this? Not many. Exceptional talents. Not saying Kaepernick isn't, but to me, I think when, you know, he was kneeling, well, he was sitting in the preseason and then he went to kneeling. So I don't want to say it was a publicity stunt because his play was going down. I'm just saying when he did come into that year, his play definitely wasn't the same as it was. And I don't know if him getting more involved, you know, spending his time elsewhere, you know, maybe his talent was declining and it just kind of coincided with that timetable. But I feel like the NFL gave him more than enough chances. And, you know, they're still, trust me, I'm not against the theory that they blackballed him or there was collusion. It's just so hard to prove, I feel like. And if I'm not mistaken, he did get the private settlement. I think he just ran his mouth. So I don't know if he lost money, but you know, in my opinion, I feel like they've given him every opportunity. And at this point, I could really care less if I see him in the NFL. I hope the movement still goes. Obviously, I want to see racism and uh, you know, racial injustice and police reform all handled. But I could really care less, like if Kaepernick plays, because I'll tell you this: if he does play, I don't think he does much. I think I don't. Maybe he'll have a game-winning drive, if that, if he gets in the game. But at the same time, it's like, yo, don't forget, like Ray Lewis went to bat for this man, and he just, it's just so tough to try to help people when you can only do so much. Like that's the thing. Like if he put him in the position to get this meeting and it was on him to basically go in there and sell himself, then that's on Cap. Like that's the thing. If nobody taking you, I'm like, you gotta switch up your strategy a bit. You can't just blame it on everybody else, but we'll see. There's no guarantee that he'll get an invite back. If I had to guess, I would say the NFL kind of in the position that they're put in right now, that they would extend an invitation to him. But I don't see a team picking him up, man. I don't even think it's about the whole social stance at this point. Even if he does get picked up by a team, I'm telling you, a backup at the most. I wouldn't. He could very well start, but I wouldn't put him as a starting quarterback. You lost your job to Blaine Gabbert. Nothing against Blaine Gabbert, but come on, man. I ain't buying that. So we will see how all of that plays out. I know Brees has apologized for his statements. Fromm has apologized for his statements. Cap, I think, has spoken out a little bit, but we'll wait to see what happens with that. But a silver lining to this week. We'll wait for those storylines to play out. But a silver lining to the week was that the NBA is coming back. Yeah, what? In July, and they'll be in Disney World. What more could you want? I mean, you can't go, but still, sports. Yeah, 22 teams. Says they will Resume July 31st inside Walt Disney World's ESPN Wide World of Sports complex. Very cool. Very cool. And the teams going: the Bucks, the Lakers, the Raptors, Clippers, Celtics, Nuggets, Jazz, Heat, Thunder, Rockets, Pacers, 76ers, the Mavs, the Grizzlies, the Nets, the Magic, the Blazers, the Pelicans, the Kings, the Spurs, the Suns, the Wizards, the bullshit, the drama, the baby, the mamas. But yes, 22 teams. Obviously, I'm happy that the Celtics and the Lakers are in there. My ideal scenario, for reasons unknown, would be to see a Lakers Celtics final. Doubt it'll happen, but would be very cool. Except we would have to beat LeBron James, because I ain't having the Lakers tie us for championships. So miss me with that bullshit. I can't wait to see that though. It's gonna be fun, and I hope they incorporate the Disney stuff well. I was saying that after this, I don't know I don't know what the structure is gonna be next year. Personally, I think they should play basketball in the summer. I think they would make a lot more money. You're inside, it's air conditioning. It's just, why wouldn't you? But I said, even from this, they might just start playing games at Disney World. Playing like a week or so at Disney World. It's fun vibes. Why wouldn't you? Your fam's there on vacation. You have a chance to go see a good basketball game. Do it up. I'm sure Disney ain't no fools. They're probably like, yeah, we'll host it. They're trying to be up in them DMs. They ain't stupid. But who knows? This could be the start of Disney and the NBA, and who knows? Maybe 10 years from now, it'll be a horrible mistake, and Skynet will take over, or it'll be good for everybody, and a new tradition will start. So, shout out to the NBA for getting back on track. I'm not as pleased with Major League Baseball because they can't seem to get their shit together. Everybody's kind of debating, and I'm like, you stand so far away from each other. Like you're literally on a job site together. It doesn't even look like you're playing. All right, baseball, and then they're gonna condense the season, which I don't think is such a bad thing. Like, people want to see baseball, and like it breaks my heart when you hear all these stories of, well, baseball's on the decline and it's America's pastime, but it does the worst in the ratings. It's like, baseball, you're not helping yourself either. Like, get your players on board. Like we're gonna go play, even if there's no fans. Y'all are plenty spaced out. Maybe they would have to figure it out in the dugout, maybe. But other than that, get out there and play. Come on. I'll even watch a Yankees game. And for me to say that, it's just, if I could go back in time and slap myself, I would. For even conjuring up the thought. I hate them. But we'll figure out what they're doing soon enough. With that being said, shout out to the UFC for continuing to put on great fights and great cards. Shout out to Amanda Nunes. She is the toughest lady on the face of the planet, and I would not want to fuck with her. She is so tough. Shout out to her. She's insane, insane. And she just had a baby, so shout out to her. She's doing it up big right now. 2 belts, a baby, 1 wife, and a mistress. But damn, really fucked that up, didn't I? But without further ado, the moment you've all been waiting for, it's our Wild Weather podcast, and we have some good stories and observations from some of the NFL and sports world's wackiest weather games. Their wackiest weather games. This tongue too damn big, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I keep tripping over my shit. Um some good things learned, some good reminiscing. Some games I haven't seen highlights from in a while. Some new things learned. So I'm glad to convey the message. Maybe you know some of these, maybe you don't. Maybe you just listen, because I'm taking the time out to do this, and I appreciate you being here. So thank you. Without further ado, let's go to 1984, the Bronco Blizzard Monday Night Football. And just to get a better feel on this, 15 inches of snow. Broncos are hosting the Packers. The Broncos would beat them 17-14. And let's take a look. Yeah, look at that. Just tons of fun. Tons of fun out here. Just looking great. Let's run that back a little bit since we missed it. Look at that. It's all fumbly. Just a great time. Not, I mean, some of these games, these shits be getting cold, but I think that one was, I think the temperature was like 25 degrees. Next on the list, the Philly Blizzard, the 1948 NFL Championship. This ain't no Super Bowl, y'all. This the straight NFL Championship. What's a Super Bowl? Que hora es Super Bowl? But we couldn't find too much footage. I have to use this NFL Top 10 footage. And just look at that. Miserable. It looks like I know the grounds crew, they play a big part, but this looks like straight up labor. This is backbreaking. Just looks like an awful time if you had to work like what? And I don't know what happened with this clip. Now I got some Peyton Manning on my screen. I don't like that. Eagles beat the Chicago Cardinals. Yeah, look at that. Chicago Cardinals. Eagles win 7-0. Next, Cowboys Dolphins. Thanksgiving 1993. What? Year I was born. Some people are probably like, this motherfucker don't know nothing about football. 93 ass. But we had Leon Lett losing the game for the Cowboys in probably one of the most crazy fashions in NFL history. For those who don't know, the Dolphins attempted to kick a game-winning field goal, but it would be blocked. And look, Jerry Jones, he's all happy. This is great. They haven't run me out of town. Don Shula, R.I.P. Don Shula rocking the turtleneck. And then, defensive lineman Leon Lett lost the game for the Cowboys because he, I guess, tried to scoop up the loose field goal after the Cowboys blocked it, and then the Dolphins recovered it in the end zone. Not a good thing. And the reason why, I'm sorry, I didn't even address this at first. The reason why this is on the crazy weather game is because the Cowboys were hosting on Thanksgiving, like I said, and it was snowing. Like, what? I'm like, they freaking Texas when it's a little cold. I can't imagine being in the stadium watching. I mean, it looks like it was a dusting. I'm like, you from the Northeast. People in the Midwest are like, y'all know shit. But Northeast, we've seen a lot of snow before too, so out my grill, son. So yeah, look at Ed Hockley. He's all young. Yeah, Leon Lett, big time blunder, lost the game on Thanksgiving for the Cowboys. You can imagine that's sacrilege in Dallas, Texas. Next on the list, Patriots Raiders, the Tuck Rule game. What? It's the birth of the greatest sports dynasty ever right here. So controversial rule at the end. Tom Brady was hit. His arm was clearly going forward, so it was an incomplete pass. And the Patriots would win on an Adam Vinatieri field goal. I'm going to skip across to that. Gosh, I love this team. And yeah, so the Patriots stayed alive because of that tuck rule. And then Adam Vinatieri sends us to the AFC Championship game where we would beat the Steelers. And the rest is history, literally. We run the league for the next 20 years, so you're welcome for the greatness. Not that you deserve it. Next on the list, Eagles Lions week 14 2013. I was watching this game in Philly. I couldn't believe this. It looked like so much fun. Look at Ndamukong Suh. Asshole, but gotta love him for the character, I guess. I mean, he was kind of like a cheap shot artist where hey, some people don't like cheap shot artists, they don't like dirty players. They have a spot in my book, all right? I just I have they're misunderstood individuals, all right? I don't need to explain myself. Was I one? Yes. Is that why I sympathize? No. But can't take the heat. Get out of the kitchen. I don't know what to say. Don't be bringing all that crying out here. So yeah, all this snow going on for the Lions and Eagles game. This was a crazy game to watch. There was a straight up blizzard in Philly. We were cooped up inside for basically the whole day and like half of the next day, but it was insane to watch them play this game. And it does ease up at the end, but still. I mean, 25-degree weather, not the worst thing, but the game took 3 hours and 10 minutes to complete. Luckily for Philadelphia, they walked away with the W. They won 34-20. Detroit used to playing in that dome. I can imagine it affected them. But at the same time, you live in Detroit, you know how cold it is. I don't feel too bad for you. So let's jump to 2017 for a Week 14 matchup between the Colts and the Bills. Look at all that snow. In Indiana gets pretty cold, but if you're from Buffalo, I could imagine the snow don't bother you, but this is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't think it hurts if you fall in all that snow, but the stingers must suck. That was the worst thing about playing football in the cold is in the snow it's one thing. It's kind of fun, the snow and rain, but it's just the stingers you get from the cold is just unbearable. And look at this, the temperature was 32 for them, so it was actually what, 7 degrees warmer, but look at that duration, 3 hours and 15 minutes. And this one actually went into overtime, and LaShawn McCoy would score a 21-yard overtime touchdown to win the game. I actually think I saw the end of this game. I was watching the Red Zone. Shout out to the Red Zone. They're my favorite Sunday programming. Shout out Scott Hansen and NFL Films for all they do. It's my dream right there. Sit around and show you the best from football. And LaShawn McCoy playing in both of those games. The Lions in 2013. He was with the Eagles, and then he played for the Bills in 2017. Believe he's still on the Bills. Yeah, Shady on the Bills. Yeah, he is, right? Let's see. He is not. He's a free agent. Shout out to Shady McCoy. Hope he gets a job. So yeah, he plays in both of those. That's pretty cool. He's built for that. He's built for that. Oh, and then this is my absolute favorite. The Patriots, Dolphins, 1982, the snowplow game. So the Patriots were locked into a battle With the Dolphins, it was 0-0 for basically the entire game. The Patriots won on a 30-yard field goal from John Smith. The highlight of the game, however, wasn't just the field goal, but the fact in the fashion that the Patriots got the field goal, and they hired a recently paroled convict, ex-con, whatever you want to call him, Mark Henderson. He's a hero. He was driving a snowplow and he cleared a spot for John Smith, the kicker, and the Pats would win the game. And then Don Shula, he was coaching the Dolphins at the time, and he appealed it to the league that it was an unfair advantage. But Commissioner Pete Rozelle declined to reverse the result of the game. Good for you, Pete. Good for you. Like I said, R.I.P. Shula, but we ain't going out like that, Jack. Good to see that the Pats thinking outside the box even all the way back then. You got to listen to the call, though. The call is hilarious. I'm going to... Let me play this for you, this old-timey...
In 1982, the Patriots had a most unusual solution to a snowy problem. In the closing minutes of a scoreless tie, rookie head coach Ron Meyer called for a masked man. A snowplow driver, Mark Henderson, responded. A convicted burglar employed at Foxborough Stadium on a weekend work release program, Henderson cleared the path for the decisive field goal that propelled the Patriots into the playoffs. In the 1980s.
All right, that's enough. Go on with your fucking hugging. But shout out the greatest sports franchise in sports history, the Patriots, for always stirring up controversy. It's been great having to defend myself in every room I go to because I wear your apparel. So thank you for making my life so hard, but also thank you for the great memories. All right, now our next category, big rain games. Look at that. We're going to start out in Tampa Bay. Kansas City versus Tampa Bay. 1979, the monsoon game. Says that this was that year's first division championship game, and look at this. Just got they can't even hold on to the ball. Look at this, just an absolute mess. Shout out to whoever went there and supported the Buccaneers with their creamsicle uniforms. 3-0. That ain't no real score. Would have asked for my money back. Next, we're gonna stay with Kansas City, the unofficial Mud Bowl, 98. Seattle Seahawks going to Kansas City for a wet one. One of the worst floods on record in Kansas City. It says two rounds of thunderstorms delayed the game for almost an hour. And it says they got 5 inches of rain in this one. Kansas City wins this one, and check out the storyline. So, like we said, play suspended for 54 minutes, 5 inches of rain, 9 turnovers, 7 fumbles, 2 interceptions. And Warren Moon's still in the game. Well, not really. He left with a cracked rib. Jesus. I mean, ow. But yeah, it works out for the Chiefs once again. Very suspicious. All right, 2007, Muddy Night Football. I remember watching this. Steelers hosting the Dolphins. Said that Pittsburgh got about an inch and a half of rain before the game. Not to mention there was a concert, I believe, the night before, so that also messed it up. But it was a 3-0 game. The Steelers won. I think the most memorable part of this game was the plopped punt, if you will, where they thought this ball would bounce as it normally would, and instead that shit said plop. Oh, let's find that. Here it go. Ball's like, I got you. Psych. And like, at what point as a player are you just kind of like, bro, this is ridiculous. Like, this ain't no real game. And I think that's Danny Amendola. What? Playing for the Finns, bro? Come on. What are you doing? All right, heading to 1977. Vikings versus Rams, the official Mud Bowl. Vikings win this one 14-7, but get clapped by the Cowboys. This is a fun one if you're a fan, but for a player, I mean, it looks pretty fun. But was this 77? So it's not as bad. Like if it was like the 60s, I'd be like, it's a horror. It might be like a death sentence. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if like ringworm was like crazy bad back then or something, but this looked like fun. All right, 2011 Panthers versus Jags, the Monsoon Bowl. We had the monsoon game. Well, here's the Monsoon Bowl. All right. Temperature 75 degrees, except it's raining buckets. It was a 3-hour game. And go figure, dog. Like Florida always looking for an excuse for a wet t-shirt contest. I'm talking shit. I gotta take that back because this is in North Carolina, so I take that back. But you Floridians looking for a wet t-shirt contest all the time. Any excuse. All right, now we messing with that fog, y'all. We got fall games. Fall games on deck. We're going to start with 1988, the NFC divisional playoff between the Bears and the Eagles, the Fog Bowl. What a way to start off the fog weather. 25 degrees, wind chill of 17, but it didn't matter. The storyline was nobody could see anybody. And you got to wonder, if you're a fan and you paid money to go see this game, you got to ask for your money back. I mean, the half of the experience of you going, I would say maybe like, I guess 90% of the reason you're going is to enjoy this experience. But come on, man. You can't even see the fucking field. What is that? 2007, the Lake Effect Bowl. This is going to be a matchup between the Browns and the Bills. The Browns would wind up winning this one 8-0. I mean, you wouldn't know it. Just any Browns game just looks depleted. I feel sorry for them, even when they do win. Poor Browns. All right, enough of that fog. We get into the real shit. The cold games. NFL cold games. Starting you out with the Immortal Classic, 1967 NFL Championship. No Super Bowl. What's a Super Bowl? Donde es Super Bowl? All right, this is an NFL Championship, dog. This was meant to be. But the temperature for this one, negative 13 degrees. The wind chill, negative 48. Can you imagine? Back then, rough thermals, heavy tweed, not that Under Armour we get today. That breathable stuff. This, you're going to have to scrub yourself with a Brillo pad after this. Your warmth gear tearing your skin up. I don't even know how they bundled up back then. I mean, I feel like everybody's shoes were leather. I mean, I guess that would have worked, but just looks miserable. Everything looks like it's made out of tin. It's a bad time. I wouldn't say a bad time to be alive, but a bad time to be alive. But details of the game, the Packers would win this one 21-17. No surprise there. And this is widely considered one of the best games of all time, if not the best game. I don't know. I always hate whenever they include like these old ass games. I mean, I appreciate what they did, but I don't know. I got to give them credit for this though. Negative 13. I'll give them. This is definitely one of the best games, I would say. Next, we're heading to Cincinnati. Bengals versus Chargers, 1982 AFC Championship, the Freezer Bowl. So you know it's going to be cold. Temperature, negative 9. Wind chill, negative 59. What are you guys doing? Bengals would win this one 27-7. They would wind up getting clapped, though, in the Super Bowl to Joe Montana and the 49ers. Not a bad team to lose to, but -59, and they're like, people actually went. My gosh. I'm like, if there was any children there, I'd call Child Protective Services right away. I mean, a Bengals game is no place for a child anyway. I mean, mix in that cold weather. Tisk, tisk. Moving along, 2015 wild card, the Frostbite Fight. Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings. Vikings playing outside before they got that new stadium. Let's see, the temperature for this one was -6 with a wind chill of -25. I mean, the NFC North just... Why would you want to go to a game outside? Like, I don't get it. Steven Hauschka, who I think is one of the most clutch, if not the most clutch kicker of the 2010s. I don't know what you want to call that decade, but I don't know, he shined in that decade. But he hit a 46-yard field goal that would be the determining factor. But I guess the highlight, or I don't know if you want to call it a highlight, but Blair Walsh missing that field goal to send the Vikings to the next round, just shameful and sad. I mean, he really took a lot of heat for that one, but it's why you can't lose. This one went 2 hours and 58 minutes. Oh my gosh. But the Panthers would have the last word in this one because that's who would beat the Seahawks. But it would be the Broncos getting the last laugh in that one because the Dabbin Panthers, yeah, they didn't do too well. All right, 1972, staying in the NFC North, Vikings versus Packers. This one had a temperature of -2 with a wind chill of -19. The Packers would win this one 23-7. 2007 NFC Championship, Giants versus Packers. Packers at it again. I think they're just doing this on purpose. Temperature of this one, -4 with a wind chill of -24. But it would be the Giants winning this one 23-20 in overtime. This one took 3 hours and 33 minutes. You're joking. I have to give Packers fans some type of credit for being able to withstand that, but at the same time, you get everything you deserve. I'm like, you are asking for strep throat if you want to be a cheesehead. Real talk. These jackets the announcers got on, though, I mean, turquoise, the official color of 1993. Damn. Shit was crisp. I'll have to run that back. Had that official ass NBC turtleneck. I don't even know if you want to call that Under Armour yet. I don't know if it was invented yet. Nah, it's Under Armour 96, but whatever's keeping them warm. So back to the game. Looks like we have the Rams visiting Green Bay, 1993. Temperature was 0 with a wind chill of -20. The Packers would take this one 28-0. No surprise there. Talk about a disadvantage. But it's all right. The Raiders come up on our list once again. This time in 1994, they're going to take on the Buffalo Bills in the AFC divisional round. So the temperature for this one was 0 with a wind chill of -32. The Bills would take this one 29-23, but they would fall in, I believe, their 4th straight Super Bowl. They would fall to the Dallas Cowboys this time. Jimmy Johnson and those Dallas Cowboys. All right, then 1972, the Vikings. The Vikings versus the Bears. The 72 Vikings just putting in that work. Temperature of this one was -2 with a wind chill of -26. The Vikings would take this one 23-10. Once again, the NFC North. Why would you wanna? I don't want to wish harm on their fans, but you're asking for it. You're asking for it. Just saying. All right, NFL hot games. We're done with the cold. We're going to go to 2018, Week 2, Patriots versus Jaguars. Starting temperature at kickoff of this one, 97. The The Patriots would lose this one in the fourth quarter on a fumble by Tom Brady. And the Jaguars got off to a great start this season, but would implode. So, haha. Moving along. 2003 Packers versus Cardinals. Game temperature of this one, 102. Like, what? This one reached up to 106 by the fourth quarter. It would be the Cardinals taking this one, I believe. Yeah, the Cardinals took this one 20-13. All right, and the hottest game on record in NFL history, Eagles versus Cowboys, season opener 2000, the year 2000. Temperature of this one, 109 degrees, damn. And the duration of the game, 3 hours and 10 minutes. This one's infamously remembered as the pickle juice game because players were drinking pickle juice to not cramp, which is gross. Don't ever do that. Pickleback shots are nasty. I've never even had one. That's some shit that your degenerate friend just does. And not for me. I'm not drinking pickle juice. I don't care. I'll let my shit cramp. But I'm not doing that. 1961 MLB All-Star Game. They had some crazy wins. It says pitcher Stu Miller was actually blown off the mound. That's insane. Imagine that. 2008 World Series Game 5. I remember watching this one. This was between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Philadelphia Phillies. It was the first World Series game ever to be suspended. And the Phillies would wind up winning this World Series, so their fans can shut up for a bit. But they lost to the Yankees the year after, and then after that, the Phillies just never really recovered. But what are you gonna do? 1996 New York Yankees home opener, 37 degrees and snow. Just what? Yeah, it said that the stinging snow was so brutal that third base umpire Ken Kaiser and some of the players actually wore ski masks on the field. I would pay to see that. Numerous players said they had trouble even seeing the ball. The Yankees won 7-3. All right, tennis. Bobby Riggs versus Jack Kramer, 1947, for all you people from 1947 watching out there. December 26th, Madison Square Garden. The match was being called the biggest tennis matchup at the time. Over 15,000 fans. Says that 25 inches of snow fell to less than 14 hours that day, and Kramer would lose to Riggs in 4 sets. Shout out all my tennis fans. Tennis is where it's at. And surprisingly, while doing this list, there was a lot of college football games that had wild weather. Mostly, just snow and cold weather, things of that nature. It's just, it's great, but we're trying to stay focused on the NFL here. Not that college football isn't important, but it's just, I'm not gonna hit you guys over the head with the same shit basically, but we had to throw at least one on there, and one that stuck out was Michigan at Ohio State 1950. So it says Michigan traveling to Columbus, and shout out both of those programs. I've been to that game before. It's wild. The hype is real. The fandom is real, and it just a great day of football for any football fan. Does obviously it matters who you root for. I had no stain. I had no stain out there, so I was staying with my friend who went to OSU, so that's where I got my Buckeyes back there. But just a great experience. Shout out to both fan bases. So yeah, it says Michigan showed up, and there was nearly a foot of snow already there. 5 degrees, 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it only featured field goals. I'm sorry. 45 punts. They punted the ball 45 times. They bunted the ball. Yeah, they punted the ball 45 times. Insane. And Michigan would win 9-3, all on field goals. So shout out to them. Still love my Buckeyes though. And then more tennis. Staying with tennis, researching this, the Australian Open specifically. I remember a couple years ago they had a match that it was like over 100 degrees and people were like passing out. So they have their own, they have like their own I guess Wikipedia page, if you could, or they just have their own grievances and set of rules when it comes to their venue because it gets so hot. It says they considered closing the roof for the 93 final due to the temperature. It reached over 104 degrees, but tennis player Jim Courier threatened to boycott the match unless the roof remained open. My man's not playing around. So rolling with my top down, with my jewelry on, just getting my hood on. Yeah, he was leave it open. Then 2013, a fan, a spectator, sued. She said the temperature reached 104 that day and said she fell down the stairs while seeking shade. Can you imagine that going over in court? Yes, I feel so bad for you for falling at your tennis match. I apologize for, I guess, laughing at her in her time of falling down, but what are you going to do? And then in 2014 from the Australian Open, ball boys, attendance in the stands, and players were suffering from heat-related illnesses, most likely heat stroke, due to 4 consecutive days with the temperatures being 106 and 110. That was definitely what I remembered. And the extreme heat resulted in a record 9 withdrawals in the first round. That's insane. Just tennis. They're just got to give them credit. Got to give them credit. They're just, it will go on. We ain't stopping. Can't stop, won't stop. So that was our wild weather episode. We hope you enjoyed. As we said before, if you're not, follow us on social media. On Instagram, it's @FreshCookiesShow. On Twitter, it's @FreshCookiesPod. Like I said at the beginning of the show, now we're on Facebook. What? So look us up at Fresh Cookies Show on Facebook and follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube. All that good noise. Shout out to everybody protesting. Hope you're keeping safe. Keep the peace. No rioting, no looting, none of that. The message needs to get across. Hopefully you learned something today. I know I did. Let us know if we missed anything. Give it or just give us, if you have any bad weather games, let us know. Hit us up in the DMs. You know how it works. Get at me, dog. Keep checking back in for content. Wash your hands. All that good noise. I'm Nery Rodriguez, and you already know it's Fresh Cookies. Cookies.